Hello, everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder Path Trading Partners. Drowning in a sea of red. How's everyone doing today? Should not have been surprised. We covered some potential breakdown levels and everything when watched for momentum bars, which kicked in mid-morning to the downside. Should not have been shocking. So, who's here? Hey, Ken. Welcome. Again, nice little pop on Tesla to the 930 area. And I can go over that if you want. There's a lot of great setups in Tesla today. Then it's coming down and filling the gap. So, epic day, clear path, 4,000, close below key level today. Yeah, there was a close in the cash. Futures bounced a little at the end, but the cash closed for weekly lows in the S&P and Nasdaq. So brutal price action today. And by the way, hello, Amit. And thanks for saying hello to the rest of the crew. Lauren, thank you for being here. Yo. Was that a reference of the trading today or just yo? Please tell me there's a squeeze on Monday because stocks don't go down like this every single day. Well, they didn't go down every single day. We had a 2-day bounce. Remember, we're in a brutal market. I told you it's long-term sells, and the shorter the bounces are, that means it's just more brutal selling. We didn't even get a 3-day bounce out of it. Yee! I bought my first. I bought my first short today. Worked out nice. Wouldn't you have bought? Did you sell the stock short or did you buy a put? Because if you bought a put, yes, then you would have bought a short position. Hello, Christoph. Late overseas. Welcome. Up late on a Friday. Well, thank you for being here. Was a great day. I'm glad you had a great day. Amazon still high PE. We got some more sell. Guys, this is not, the market's not at a buy. We will get the rip your face off rally still, but we're still not there. Bought a put, Tesla at 930. There you go, Ken. Good job. Now Ken's playing the short side too. Welcome to the club. Hello, Sashi. Good job, Ken. So, and you got Tesla rolling over after that nice. It was just brutal. But everything. Look at this. Microsoft down 4%, Apple 3.6%, Google 3%, Amazon 14%. There's MO was up slightly. Honeywell. And then I can't even read the rest of them, but everything. This was absolutely brutal. You also had consumer sentiment miss. Interesting enough, inflation expectations, 5.4%. Inflation's just not going away, guys. It was just ugly. And I talked this morning about the employment cost index. That 1.4 is not good. FOMC. Look at this now. It's not going to happen. They're not going to go with a 75 basis point hike starting next week, but 50% is fully baked in. And wait until I show you June. And before that, by the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term viewers, please come back, leave some comments, and like the videos. So again, options 22. Welcome. Close near the lows. Fear meter is climbing. Crash on Monday. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some analysis over this weekend, and you're going to have to join me Sunday afternoon if you can. Shout out to Lauren, to Ken. Yeah, there you go. Every sector you cover was down more than 2% except materials. So expect to have a squeeze Monday. Then also what happens to 535, something like that. The stock market is dead officially. It's not dead. By the way, if you are on Discord, did you see that article I posted in Discord? If you haven't looked at it already, it's a good read for this weekend. It's in the article section. Very interesting read because I agree with a lot of it for a long-term outlook. Here's what's interesting. June. So back to May real quick. Let's just assume that we're at 75 to 100, right? A 50 base, because right now we're at 25 to 50. 75 to 100. I'm just going to use the lower number of the round. We're at 25 basis points right now. A 50 basis point hike takes us to 75. So let's assume we're at 75 going into June meeting. Look at this now. 150. What kind of hike is that? That's a 75 basis point in June. Now getting priced in. Wow. Because inflation is running so hot. So keep that in mind because this ramped up big today with the sell-off. By the way, back down deep in negative gamma territory. Deep, deep, deep. It added on. Remember, this increases volatility, so it amplifies moves to the downside and to the upside, and that we sure had that. All right. Where am I sitting? Let's see. Now, what a way to close the week. Deep red. Welcome, Wavy. Kathy on CNBC. Boy, she got some gut showing her face. She was a teledoc. I mean, that blew my mind. Literally, you're sitting there trying to pump teledoc, saying it's going to be like a tenfold increase, and they're leading in medical. If this lady's, I'm sorry. I don't like, I do have some pet peeves with a couple people, and I think you know who they are. But she going on here trying to pump T-Doc, then we'll get into something. Look at it. This thing is a pile of dog crap. If this thing could actually at some point go bankrupt, it's a pile of dog crap. And look, look at that bounce. That was a pathetic bounce. This was a pathetic bounce. But this thing's going to roll over and play dead before too long. Oh, geez. I'm sorry. Look at this. Return, nice little spike up right to the prior support becoming resistance and then rolling over after hitting our harmonic. Now, I want to update this because let's see where our next harmonic levels are for lower to the next minor ones. 42.63, then we have major 40.51 to 39.36. Oh boy. She's going to cost, there's going to be lawsuits flying at some point. Lawsuits flying. Okay, all right, I'm done. All right. Let me just give you a thing that you don't do. Learn one thing from Kathy. Do not keep adding in a stock like this. All right? Yeah, there will eventually be a bottom if it's in existence, but do you think I want to, especially if I'm a professional fund manager, I'm adding all the way down and keep saying it's going to be tenfold up? My goodness. It doesn't even have a PE yet. Why doesn't it have a PE? Because they don't have positive earnings. Come on. Don't do this. I don't care what stock it is. You wait for a good bottoming pattern. Don't try to call the low. Don't try to be a hero. You wait for something to base, especially at good long-term valuations, and then you get back in. This is just idiotic investing. Okay? That's just idiotic, and you can get away with it when we're in a stupid pump market like this. If we didn't have all that money from the Fed stimulate the crap out of the market, you wouldn't have had this run up either. But this, just buying more and more crap constantly on the way down, is asinine. Don't do that. Don't do it for your own portfolio. You will blow yourself up. You find good opportunities, and there'll still be good opportunities in this market, even with a sell-off. We just have to be patient. And take your stops and then step aside. There's times to be greedy, and by greedy, I don't mean over-leverage. I mean there's times to say, okay, I got a lot of great positions coming up. I got things that are great valuations. There's great technical patterns. I'm loading up my portfolio with proper risk, meaning you could be doing 2% a position, whatever it is. Okay? Depending on what your size of your portfolio and everything, let's say you want to say, all right, we're at the bottom of a potential bear market. I got my portfolio in cash. I got 20 positions I want to fill up. I'm going 5% risk per position. Fine. You define your risk. You don't go, I'm putting it all in Teledoc. I'm going all in. I'm going in. Oh. Sorry. Please, I just want to get this through to people. That is not a great way to trade. Now, if Fed opens the floodgates again and we got quantitative easing, infinity, and everything else, they just start pumping, yeah, then we go in sooner. But that's not the environment we're in. And then you probably should be in equities with all in, because if they're starting to do a QE again, we're going to hit massive, massive inflation, and stocks will take off the upside. But that's where you can get in hyperinflation, which I don't want to see personally. All right. Sorry for the rant on a Friday. I just want to get this through to people. I hope nobody's in the ARK funds, because it's just not a good way to invest. So you got me started, Wavy, with this comment. Nasdaq should close the gap around 6K. Oh boy, you're really going for it, Coco. This is the Friday Mike rant I need to hear. Well, I hope I brightened some people's day today and their weekend. All right, if that's what I did, if that's the way we kick off on a Friday evening, then we had good. Kathy was right with Bitcoin and Tesla. Bitcoin's going to roll over, play dead, and it's only a matter of time before Tesla gets its butt handed to it also. They pay her millions a year to do this. Yeah. So, and if you don't want to hear me pick on Kathy and Tesla, because Tesla's valuations are insane also, and it will return to Earth at some point. Okay, you might want to plug your ears. Prove minery refineries, more fake money will not help us. No, it won't help. Hey, George, I've sold for May and I'm going away. Well, George, remember, sell in May, going away, and then you buy back in October/November. So we'll see if that holds up. Wouldn't be, but we'll still get those rallies where everybody still say, oh, the bottom's in, and then it roll over again. Mike, it's one thing that Kathy is missing is the type of market we are in is liquidity is less and quality matters versus companies that make no money and are high risk. She should put some of her funds in. There are decent plays at some point out there. I wouldn't be jumping it all over Teladoc. Okay, I want to know how a stock is forming a bottom. Well, we'll keep watching. We'll go through it. Again, you already should know, if you've been in this a while, if you see a double bottom pattern that triggers, there's one pattern. Especially triple divergence bottoms are another with cycles turning up. There's another one. Or an extended horizontal channel base, a slightly rounded bottom. I'll give you a bunch of them. We'll find some, but there just aren't a lot of good bottoms just yet. Coco, take a breath. Don't apologize. You're absolutely right. It's entertaining as hell. Yo, Mike, calm down. Your blood is going high. If I keel over from an aneurysm, you'll know what happened. My face is red now because I'm laughing. Hey, yeah, RDBX, the junk stock. Yeah, it was piling that today. That was great. We can look at that. Check the pandemic gap on the daily chart. It's really interesting. Which chart specifically, Coco? Warren talking tomorrow. Last time he talked, the market went down 20% from the day he spoke. Monday will be interesting. Well, we shall see. Feb 2020 was when he talked last. Let's see if I don't think we could jump to the big conclusion from that just yet, but you might be onto something, Sashi. This rant keeps us safe. Thanks for your rant. Nasdaq and S&P, you want the cash? One thing I noticed is everyone is super bearish at the moment. Not everyone just yet. By the way, if you don't follow my personal Twitter feed, you probably should too. I put out, where institutional money versus retail money is going, and retail is starting to roll over, but just not yet. And still, the thing on the street is retail is still buying the damn dips. So once they go to fear and start selling, watch out, really watch out. Now, can we get these rallies because everything's getting overdone? Sure. But, we'll start watching for stuff. there's just no great pattern now. I can't say this is a bottoming pattern in the S&P. Can't say this is a bottoming pattern in the Nasdaq just yet. So you'll have to tune in. Now, you said you want the cash, Coco? Where do we sit here? 2021, March. Well, what do you want me to look at, Coco? Let's see. What did you say earlier? Check the pandemic gap on daily chart. Give me the date of the gap you're looking at. And I'm in the cash S&P, so we'll lump back to that. She could end up closing down if she experienced massive redemptions, yet it looks like the people are putting money in. Yet people are still inflows into ARK. It's again, and they're going to be, it's the same thing we're seeing. There's a lot of inexperienced investors out there that they became investors or / traders or whatever you want to call them back, even some before the COVID stuff, but it really ramped up, and the whole thing is hodl. Oh, just buy more on the way down. Buy more on the way down. And that's going to be the downfall of so many of these recent people. It's really going to be a downfall. We can see a downfall. We'll see those vicious rallies. I just don't have a bottoming pattern yet. And I don't know if it'll happen Monday yet. Nasdaq. March, where's this gap. This gap right here. Because the close was here, the open was here. That's the gap, and then you have some gaps here from the 2020 crash. So you have gaps lower. Those theoretically could get filled. Let's go through a little analysis today. Again, into the rotation zone. Couldn't even get a 3-day rally and then rolling over. If you look at, I just got to get through some of this real quick and then we can loop back around. There's your futures close. So there's a new low futures close. Last time it closed this low, you see below the March closes. This is where it's really handy to do a close chart. So the last time we were this low on a closing basis was back in June of last year. That's the S&P. Well, I still have this up. Here's the Nasdaq. Last time we were down here was, in March of 21. So that's, over a year ago. And you see a new recent close. The Dow's still holding up slightly better, but we still have this double target. So we'll keep an eye on that for Monday. Price action today. Just go through because there's some decent stuff. So we had that channel, and then we started. It wasn't great on the open. It was a little sloppy back and forth, but we really started to get some momentum here. And then once we broke the channel, got momentum, and I switched to that 15-minute rotation zone. Break at that channel, little bounce, break, coming down, just misses harmonic back, and then rolling on down. And so it just coming back down all the way to the low from 26 and then breaking below that. So I'm not going to go over all the analysis that we're going to do we'll do that Sunday. Just want to go over a couple things. And then you'll have to tune in on Sunday to get all the new levels for Monday. Or you can watch it on demand if you're busy. I understand, it's getting into nicer weather, except here. Nasdaq, we do have a potential double bottom. Would be shocked if it triggered, but if you did, there could be a bottoming pattern play. We'd that get interesting if we start getting that 62.5 retracement off there. But that's pretty much where that stands. That's the only longer-term bottoming pattern I see that doesn't even have to trigger. Again, the Nasdaq breaking, coming down with a little momentum, pausing at that channel, that flag. I should have called it a flag. Then breaking down in a lot of momentum this afternoon, just riding this 15-minute 8 EMA lower. When you see it can't even get to dip in, or I've talked about that before, super weak. You can see here that 5-minute just riding even the 8 lower. You don't want to try to call a bottom with that. Little covering at the end of the day, just for people not wanting to go short over the weekend. So let me pull off some of these levels. We'll redo them on Sunday. Dow, again, coming back down below the second target on that double. Little bounce, closing right at this longer-term trend line. But I'm expecting to finish out this pattern possibly Sunday night / Monday morning. By the way, in the Dow, remember we looked at this little pattern this morning. Triggered the double, little bounce back. This did not invalidate it, and then coming back down. So we had that little double top on the open. I said was almost a triple. And then we just got the momentum going lower with that. So you can see just riding in the Dow generally rides the 15-minute down when it's really bearish. So let's just see if there's any other patterns on there. Nothing great. I'll have to see if that's a potential double to the downside. But other than that, not much. Not much. Russell, again, returning to that daily rotation zone, and then just kaboom. Rolling over. Russell, again, now on a closing basis. A closing basis. The Russell, now the lowest close since December of 20. And the Russell can really start even on rallies. This is now major resistance coming in here. You have not a lot of stopping points in here, so I'm expecting, I would not be surprised over the next few months to see Russell easily tag the 1700 mark. Crude, little reversal, everything. Crude coming up to the end of this little clear path and reversing. Still nothing great in crude from a long-term perspective. Still in consolidation. Everything got sold today. Even gold coming up in the rotation zone. You know, coming back up next harmonic. This is why you got to trade these around the core position. I would not be surprised if the selling continues, because everything, even profitable stuff, will get sold in these markets. It'll get sold to cover margins or other losing positions. I'm now watching a return to 1877, but this is where, when you get strong rallies, especially into this, like, again, prior support becoming resistance, you got to unwind something and then reload lower. Silver, I'm expecting now, there's no ads for me until it gets down to 22, 23 area. This is even getting slower, but I will expect this to pick up again, but then this next sell level would be back at 23.40. Notes coming down. Look at this. Now we're back below that 75. So what do we have here? What do we have? I'll keep it over here for now on the conservative targets, but we do, doesn't mean it has to trigger. But we do have this longer-term potential double in play, which would take it finally back into the weekly rotation zone. So I'm going to keep watching that very closely, because this is still running out of momentum to the downside. So eventually we could get a nice little pop higher in notes. Now, what's really interesting is with this price action, what generally happens in normal market conditions when the market sells off. You get people running into treasuries. Look at this. You just got treasuries getting whacked again today. So treasuries are still very, very weak. But still watching for that potential bottoming pattern. Dollar index reversal here. VIX back above that 30 level. What'll be interesting is if we start to get back above 37, 38 area, I get really interested in searching for some kind of potential bottom on a spike reversal. So we're going to keep an eye going into that beginning of next week, because we could get a little short-term flush out move. SPY double bottom. On what time frame? This is not a double. And this is why I also have to mind remember we had the double to the upside, hitting that full target into that 4-hour rotation zone and rotating back down. That's why you don't get greedy. You take targets on doubles. I got to update this, by the way. This is not a double. No double there. This could still be a double in the Qs, but if it gets any lower on Monday, it's done for. I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit the 310 mark on Monday. Where I want to go Tesla, just because even if you don't trade it. So remember I talked about these levels this morning, 330, 930, 330. Look, I'm already getting ahead of myself with Tesla. Running up here, this is another great thing. I've gone through this before. So you do your gap, right? This you can use if you bullish because a gap up, running, pull back to that 50. I watch for that reversal in here. Pulling up there, then running up to that 930. Why is this such a fantastic entry on a bounce play? Because you can keep a tight stop with the 62.5. Because remember, when it closes below the 62.5, it favors the gap fill. There you go up to the 930 level where Ken bought puts. Coming up here. Now, what's this? Double top. Double top. Triggered. Gave multiple available potential entries to the short side, and look at the target on that double. Look at the target on that double. Fantastic little trade there with the markets being very weak. Then I updated the gap fill to the top here, and we watched for the close below 62.5. Get the close below 62.5. Little bounce back, especially when you start watching the rolling over rotation zone, and you get the full gap fill right at the very end of the day. And look at this next thing. Remember I said to watch, let me pull off this gap harmonics. What's so interesting with this, we have the 62.5 level right here, just closing above it on the daily basis. Isn't that priceless? Because this 62.5 level has been in place since April 5th. Look at that level. Into the daily rotation zone, so you had that little spike up here at that key level with the harmonics, with the double top, the rollover, double top play, then the gap fill play. And if I don't care if you don't trade Tesla, doesn't bother me at all. This kind of stuff works for any market you're watching. Does it work 100%? No, nothing works 100%. What was I going to look at? Hey, are you still, where was that? Bright spot in a junk stock today was RDBX. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's this double bottom play here. This sloppy double on the weekly. You can see it really nice, which tradable on the daily. And then coming up, and then you got your intraday harmonics. So that hit all the targets. By the way, why is this level marked off here? Because it was this key level, and you have those harmonics. And once it went through that, you had to go down to this pausing bar right here. Yeah, close enough. And that's where the pause. So this was the area I was watching on this, with this coming into this resistant shelf, and you got your harmonic up there. So even it doesn't matter the stock. Are they perfect? No, they aren't, but they'll give you great insight. If this thing keeps running, by the way, the next major target is around 760, 765. Isn't when consumers stop buying, the bottom is already in and up we go? Yeah, I don't understand. When the consumer stops buying, are you talking retail stuff? You gotta generally the I don't know if you're talking the consumer in just retail shopping, being the bottom of something, or you're talking the retail trader. The bottom's generally put in before the retails come back in. They rotate in late. They rotate out late. They rotate in late. She's oh boy. George, since all this liquidity that caused the inflation came in from the COVID low, that's why I'm reasoning we head back there. And I completely, if they keep their foot on the hikes and everything else, we could easily get back there. Why is that not my shorter term target yet? Because I don't need to target that far out. All right, my shorter term stuff, again, is going to be, as I've talked about many times, where's my first targets? Because you could always come up, my first target is this 3,500 in the S&P with the rising weekly 200. That's my first target, and we're a long way off. Could you eventually get to here? Yeah, but I can't target that unless we get below about 3165. And then there's still a long way to go. So unless you're trying to go out with some leap put positions, I don't need to be out that far. Here's my first target, and then I'm going to watch longer term for that bounce, and then, yeah, we could keep cascading down. Again, read the article I put in the Discord server. You are welcome, John. Have a great weekend, too. Is that a sloppy head and shoulders on the SPY? No, I've talked about this before on the SPY. Let me get to SPY. No, because we have a double shoulder here. You have shoulder, head, double shoulders, plus it's a declining neck. It's a declining neckline. Declining neck. I'm not saying it won't go lower. We've already broken this pattern though. And this, if you were trying to trade it, see as declining neck, and when I say declining necklines don't work as well. Yeah. For trading it with those targets. Is this a topping pattern? Definitely. So when you went with this first shoulder, head, shoulder, declining neckline, see the declining neckline hasn't even triggered yet. And this is why declining necklines. And then we made a double shoulder. And look, see now you still have to, in order for this to technically trigger, you have to close below this declining neckline. What's going on with the neckline? It's moving away. So it gets harder and harder to close below it. And generally, by the time you get to close below this thing, it's ready for another major bounce play. It's why I do not like trading. Now, if there's a minor declining neckline, then I'll treat it as a flat neckline. It's something I've been working with since I first released the information on head and shoulders. But a long-term declining neckline, I do not like. Christoph, what did I miss? Sorry, on a monthly, I didn't see what the first part of that comment. Nasdaq gap filled or still? Nasdaq gap filled or still? Which gap? Which, again, you guys got to put a little more context in for the questions, else, because again, there's lots of things that jump around, and I'm trying to also talk. So Amazon continues to sell off. Yeah, Amazon. At some point, there'll be a little play in Amazon. Again, slicing right through there. The 12,800 gap. Okay, Rich, thanks. I'll go back to that. Still, would I be anything in Amazon on a short-term basis is just for a short-term little bounce and then another rollover play for the time being. Actually slice through the next major target area. I didn't think we'd get there that quickly. That's through the 200 week. I would not be surprised once this market does at some point, if it bounces next week, to see a pretty substantial rally in Amazon. Will it fill this gap? That's going to be super tough because you have major resistance in here. And if you look at something here from just a gap play perspective, look at where the 62.5 is. So this, between the 50 and 62.5, that 50 level is by this prior spike low. So this could easily, if you got even a rip your face off rally in Amazon that got to this 50% level, I'd be targeting another rollover play personally. Nasdaq 12,800. Yeah, you have. We had that gap's been filled. We don't have any other key. You had this gap, which is not yet filled. You have this gap that's technically not yet filled. So you have one more, on the futures, you have one more little gap fill, which could theoretically happen Sunday night / Monday morning. And that full gap fill would be to 12,815.50, but it's not officially fully filled. That's the level you can see right there. Thanks, George. Have a great weekend, too. Ugly charts everywhere except Apple. I think Apple's starting to get in for a world of hurt. I could really, now it's held up a lot better than other stocks, but I talked today, I thought it was going to start rolling over, and I'm expecting it to take out the lows from earlier in March. Not right away, but I'm expecting it to slowly cascade down there. SMHSPY on a weekly, monthly. Again, semis still, this got uglier. I'm still watching for a much bigger pullback in the semiconductors. My next area is about 214, even with any rallies. So, and then longer term, I think we're going to hit for the semiconductors. I think we're getting all the way back down at some point to the 200. Now the 200 on the weekly is going to keep rising, so they're going to meet somewhere. How far do I think Bitcoin will go down? Once Tether unravels, I could easily see Bitcoin hitting 20. Once Tether unravels, the next major harmonic is 23. And then could it drop below there? Yeah. If the bunch of the stable coins all blow, which if we get enough market sell-off, they will. And it depending on China, because they're holding a lot of junk China paper. The ratios of an SMH divided by SPY. All right, let's take a look. SMH divided by SPY. You wanted that on the weekly. You got, yeah, there's your, it's even on the monthly. Yeah, you could trade that as it's still not officially triggered on the monthly. On the weekly, it triggered. Let's just see where that ratio goes. That's sort of interesting. Oh, come on. Yeah, that has a ways to run too. The SMH divided by SPY. That could get very interesting. And what other one you wanted? VTV by SPY. Nice little, so this is your Vanguard value fund. This is nice. That's a really nice chart on the monthly. So this is going to favor value. Value, again, is coming back into play. We'll take a look at some of the other ratios I follow. That's a nice one, Christoph. With that double, look at that. Value's got a long way to run. And then if we get into other ratios, let me add that one to the list. This is going to be the Christoph special. You've now earned a spot on the list. There we go. Christoph special. Here's the other ones. We have this value versus growth on a long-term basis might trigger a major double. This one already has, so we got values versus growth again. I would not want to be focusing on growth stock unless we get very short rip your face off pops. That's the only time I will start looking, and those are very short-term plays because we have these patterns triggering. That's a monthly close now. So this is a monthly. Look at the beauty of that chart. Look at since these lows when it really took off in December of 19. Look at that, straight up, back down, with the COVID stuff, back up, and now triggering this massive monthly double top. So could this be a multi-month process? And you will get bounces because look at last month. Look at this. Big green candle, that's a pretty big bar, but then rolling over this month and actually breaking below last month's low. What do you mean by that with Tether? The stablecoin Tether, they've been printing for years. Do some research in it. They just print out of thin air. Their commercial paper they say to be holding, it's really just China junk that some of the stuff they own to say they can print more stable coins, but then are converted immediately into Bitcoin. It's artificially propped up the crypto market, especially Bitcoin. And when Tether unravels, they're actually under a lot of criminal investigation and everything else for just pure blatant fraud. And some other stable coins are going to be lumped in with them because they've just been printing to prop up the markets whenever it takes a dive, and they're not really backed by anything. So do a little research, and it's very shocking. And when that unravels, you could see a major hit in crypto. Russia does not consider itself at war with NATO. This could raise risk of nuclear war. Not consider itself, or does? Yeah, it's getting very interesting out there, and we're not going to start focusing on that unless it keeps going up in escalation. But there is risk out there, and you also have more country. What is it? Finland and Sweden going to do a rush application to join NATO possibly. So we'll see. So where's the next level on the SPY to load puts? Ooh, look at that. Right at the bottom look at this monthly rotation zone. All the way to the bottom of that rotation zone. Where's the next level on the SPY to load puts? Well, if we start getting a snapback play next week, what's interesting is you got a fair amount of resistance. So if we start reversing this, see, we're off that weekly rotation zone, which also, first area I'd start watching is a daily rotation zone. If we get a pop back there, which we should, if we do get a rip your face off rally, I'd be watching somewhere in the daily rotation zone. First area I'd be watching is around this 424 level, and then next area around 430 on the SPY. ApeCoin doesn't care. What does ApeCoin care about, Rich? The end of retirement. This is the other thing people aren't talking about. These markets with low savings rates have pushed so many, especially retirees, into all stocks. not even a balanced portfolio, just all stocks. And so you have, because you know what, you put your money in the bank, you earn nothing. So they're all in stocks. Well, long-term retirement accounts, you're in your 60s and this market takes a huge dive over the next year, you're in a world of hurt. And they'll get out at the worst possible time. So it could get, and I don't see many people talking about that either, that so many people, it forced them all into stocks, which isn't a good, safe place to be. Especially in this environment. You can find short-term tactical trades, but do I want to back up the truck on anything? I don't even want to back up the truck on things like Apple. I hate when I type the wrong thing. Why don't I want to back that up also? Because still, I think Apple will get back to around a 16 PE long-term. It's still at 27. And I'm talking longer term, not talking the next month or so. And you know what? So that's going to be very interesting. One thing that I'm going to keep an eye on, no, I'm not a fan of the company, and I'll watch for some kind of backfill bottoming play in here. I am starting to look at your basic earnings per share on Meta. 13, I think it's got a little more pain to go through, but then we could see something, at least a longer term bottoming formation getting put in a Meta at some point. It is a hard time to be a boomer. And I've talked to too many I'm all in the markets. I've said you shouldn't be all in the market. Oh, don't worry, it'll bounce back. It always does. Well, yeah, but yeah, the markets do come back, and this market will come back at some point. But I don't want to sit there and have all my retirement in a market that could go down another a huge amount. Because then I have to make it all back just to get back to break even. You start getting down to these major levels. You start getting down to this area. That's another long way to go. That from where we are now, where's that still a potential loss? That could be another, 18% from where we are now? That's pretty substantial. And from the highs? Not that we got out on the highs, but I'm just going, that's 27% off, or almost 28% off the highs, and that doesn't have to be the long-term bottom yet. All right. I think that's about it for today. Why they pumped Facebook? Well, Facebook was, their earnings sucked, but because of their supposed user growth, which that can be a completely fabricated number. Or let me say not fabricated, let me say fudged number. So there you go. With that, I hope everyone has a fantastic Saturday and Sunday. I'll be live on Sunday afternoon, and we'll come out with our trading plan for next week, especially for the beginning. I need to do some more internal breadth market checks and everything else to figure out where we sit. So that's why I don't want to start this analysis today. I want to do, especially with this market action, I want to get all my ducks in a row. And so I will do that tomorrow and then be here on Sunday. And I'll also be putting out the sector overview. We'll see some carnage in that and see what's still in potential buy mode. So make sure you do tune into the sector overview, please. Please do watch it. It is helpful. Thank you, Davey. Thank you, Wavy. ES may trade 4K next week. We shall see. It could. We shall see. Thank you, Christoph. And again, I hope to see everybody here Sunday afternoon with that. Again, have a wonderful evening, a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we'll prepare for what lays ahead next week with May trading. Sell in May and go away. Bye for now.